Hi everybody, and welcome to the first official stream on the Shunting Yard YouTube channel. I'm James. With me today is my good friend Hilton and Robert, and we want to thank you very much for joining us on this first proper stream. The last one was a good success. We're hoping this one will be too. Guys, introduce yourselves and let's get on with this.
All right. Well, hey guys, I'm Hilton. You might know me as the guy who has no idea what he's doing, and I still don't. But here we are on the first official stream for the Shunting Yard, and it's going to be a really cool one.
I'm Rob. I'm from the Kiln Line. You'll know me from Instagram, more than likely. Welcome to our little chaos sandpit, whatever we want to call it.
Well, if the last one was anything to go by, if anything, the last one was still anything to go by, it will be a chaotic sandbox experience. And I'm James, formerly the Little Western Modeler YouTube channel. You know me on Instagram as well. And together, along with Dan, who is unfortunately not able to join us today due to some power issues, we are the Shunting Yard. There's a bit of a format issue that we had in the last stream, and we want to try and address that moving forward. So we're going to try and stay on topic as much as possible this time, and try and bring you some good content and a few laughs, maybe some whiskey, maybe some rum. We'll see what happens. So I think the first thing we want to do is we want to start off by giving you guys a little bit of news of what's going on in the hobby at the moment. I myself haven't prepared anything proper for 009 because as far as I'm aware there's only been one launch, but I'll let you two decide who wants to go first, fight it out between 4mm and 7mm, and we can go from there.
Go on, Hill.
Well, Rob, you go first because 00 is more important than 4mm.
Oh, what? No way! Nah, it's not. I'll go first. He's starting this whole thing off with...
I'm here to upset people.
He woke up and thought, and then just chose violent.
That's it.
Right.
That's it.
Okay.
Right. Go for it, Rob.
In O Gauge this week, there's actually quite a bit to talk about, to be honest. We've from Minerva Model Railways. First off, they've just finished dispatching the last of their 5600s, which are very recent. Recently arrived in the UK this year. They are in both BR Green, BR Black, GWR. You can get them from their website. I believe soon they're putting them on there. Along with the next thing that I'm about to tell you is that they have just had their decorated samples of their Yank tanks, the S100s, which are absolutely stunning. You can see a picture of these in the news section of the Discord. These locomotives are available in Southern Black and I believe BR Black as well. I'm not sure whether they're doing a line version, but the prices for both of these locomotives, they come in at £395 DC and £525 DCC sound fitted. Coming in from Haljan next, we've got, I'd love to say these are premium vans, but the guys here will know where I stand on Haljan. They've got some SR, PLV, PMV, and CCT vans that they've now shipping out to distributors. And get this, £199 per van.
Ow, isn't it?
It is, but from what I've found, especially with the Haljan Mark 1s, as people see in my latest video, actually, they do have a really good running quality Haljan rolling stock compared to the others, from what I've found on my really crap track work. Coming in next is Dapol. You've probably seen these posted all over the place on the Rails website and Facebook and Instagram, whatever, this week, purely because their new austerities have come in, and which look awesome. BR Black, all the different industrial liveries. And then you've also got their second batch of Sentinel Y3s. The Y3s are a brilliant entry to O Gauge if you fancy it. They are really good runners if your track's clean, because they're 040s, remember that. But the price point is brilliant. At RRP, the Sentinels come in at £196 DCC ready. So That's cheaper than the Haljan van. Then they come in at 310 RRP for sound fitted. The austerities, on the other hand, they are a little bit more expensive at £270 DCC ready, and they go up to £411 DCC sound fitted.
Okay, yeah, that reminds me what I know.
Yeah, but then that is RRP. That is if you buy it from Dagpol. If you get it from Rails, obviously, and anywhere else that does these discounts on RRP, you can get it for a damn sight cheaper. If that's enough, that's it for 7mm, O gauge, standard gauge stuff. Going over to narrow gauge, we've got some different things I'd like to talk about in regards to. I don't know whether you're aware that about RS range, the smoke fitted locomotive. Yeah, they do like cylinder cocks. Absolutely amazing. They've actually just released a Garrett in NG7.
I saw that.
3D printed. I haven't got a price with me right now, but it looked really good. I believe he's taking expressions of interest at the moment, so I think it was £190 for the body kit, but you still have to buy the motor and all that kind of stuff for it, which is, that's still pretty good.
Yeah.
Next up, Bowater's models are taking expressions of interest in an NG7 South African Railways NG15. Please,
let's go. Let's absolutely go.
Go over there, go onto their Facebook page, and say you want one, just so I can have one.
Well, then I suggest
me.
you go over to our Facebook page and throw a link in, and do the same in our Discord, and we'll try and get as many people to do that as possible.
Yeah, I will do that after the stream. Yeah, absolutely.
That's fantastic. Yeah, I'll have one. It's nowhere near what I model, but I'll have one.
Hey, it'd be nice if there's like a shelf locomotive, even if you just got 3D printed kit just sat on the shelf, just built up without a chassis or something.
Oh yeah.
Last but not least, in 7mm, is Pico have finally released the last wave of their wooden kits. The Penryn Quarryman's coaches, the slate wagons and bolster wagons, which I'm just going to plug my YouTube channel here and say these will all be featuring on my channel in the coming months. I've got a rake of coaches I need to build, so they'll be the first ones to be looked at. And then I will probably be getting some of the bolster wagons, followed by the slate wagons.
Fantastic.
Over to you, Hilton.
Look forward to that then. Firstly, can we just welcome Dan into the chat after his technical difficulties? Dan.
Hi, Dan.
Say hello to everyone.
Hello, Dan.
Where's your camera, my friend?
Good evening, old boy.
Oh, he's muted. There you go.
Yes, hello. I am here and ready and definitely did not fall asleep.
It could be worse, my friend. It could be worse. Get yourself freshened up and join us on the video if you feel like it, please. Fantastic. Cool, Hilton. Sorry to cut you off there. Go ahead with the 00.
No. I was just going to say, let's say howdy to Dan. Well, how's it? How's it, Dan? You're right. Okay, 00 news. Right, so it's not been a particularly busy week, although we have had some samples revealed and some updates on a couple models. So we've got the Hornby DWR same class. We finally got some engineering samples of those at Model Rail Scotland, and that features both Lord Palmer and Lady of Legend, which was, I believe, the Hall conversion. Seems to be a bit of a difference of opinion in our Discord about these lamps that are fitted to it. It seems like everyone's hoping that they'll be interchangeable, but a little bit better than the Black 5. So we'll see. I'm curious. I think it looks awesome. Sorry, Rob, what?
It just needs a centrally mounted lamp on the smoke box.
No.
Yeah, absolutely. That'll look beautiful. In fact, it'll probably be one of those limited editions.
Oh no.
Then on top of that, we also got the J13 and J52s. We got some painted samples of those. They look really, really good too. And again, this is something that Hornby and Rapido have worked together on, in the sense that they're just making sure that they're not replicating the same liveries. And those are expected in, I think, December this year. Then we have the Hornby. We got an update on the Flirt, the class 755. So decorated samples have been revealed, and we'll have 4 greater Anglia variants available for pre-order. They're available now. First batch arrives in March, so that is very, very soon.
Oh, wow,
This is
okay.
one that I feel like quite a few people are pretty excited about. And this features, and then there will be a Pride livery. I think that's coming along a little bit later, Flirt. Then I think the big talk of the week was probably the Electro Star. This was obviously, we chatted about it last week, but the expression of interest is open. You can actually now make your pre-orders. And I think what's quite cool about this is the Curascale have made it very clear that given the price point, it's something that you can certainly pay off over time with them. It's not something that you need to put a lump sum down or wait until the stock finally arrives and suddenly dump, £500 onto that. So nice of them to do that because, it's an expensive model.
Yeah.
For sure. Then the second update from Curascale, I'm quite excited about this one. The back jumpers are on the way. Well, not quite on the way, but they're basically rolling off the production line now. And then I think the Curascale will do their final sort of quality control checks, and they're expected in Q2. So hopefully between sort of April and July, I guess, at some point there. Something I thought was quite cool, Revolution have announced plans to do... Yeah? Did you say something?
No, carry on. It was a stutter.
No. Okay. I think this is quite cool. Revolution has plans to offer their little diminutive Hunslet 060DH industrial shunter in 00 gauge. And I think that's pretty cool. There's quite a few of these across Europe. So while they won't be HO, it's something that'll be nice for British modelers. And then finally, an update from Oxford Braille. We've got the J26s are in their final tests, and they're expected also in Q2. So it's going to be a busy Q2 for my wallet at this point, unfortunately. But both the back jumper and the J26 look like they're quite special. So yeah, that's the updates on double.
That's a lot of double.
We're aiming to cut new stuff as we go. We'll hopefully include some images soon and stuff. So yeah, that's it.
Kinks.
We're done.
That's a lot of 00. I think myself for sure. I'm looking forward to the Saint. I am one of these people that has differing opinions on it. But I'm also curious if you've pre-ordered an Electrostar. Anyone, let us know in Discord or in the chat. I'm very curious as to what the interest is. It seems like quite a lot of bigger personalities in the social media space are very excited for them. But I'm curious to see what other people are thinking about it. But also the Revolution train shunter, that 00 shunter, it looks great in the drawings. It looks like something I want,
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely looking
Absolutely.
forward to that. I'm afraid
I just recently made my first. No, we're.
Carry on.
Sorry, James. I was just gonna say, rolling up behind me, there is the Illumina wagons from Revolution, and I must say, it's my first Revolution purchase, and I'm absolutely blown away by these things. So I'd be super keen to see what a little 060 shunter looks like.
Yeah, I'm really curious too. That might have to go on the pre-order list. SBJ coming here saying, no surprise, got one of those southern ones on order. I would be very surprised if you didn't, my friend.
Yeah, absolutely.
Probably the only southerner in the chat here.
Well, I was going to say something really nasty about the USA tank, but then I thought I'll leave it and we'll do that another day. PN Motorsport saying I've pre-ordered. The only thing I've pre-ordered is the GER Livery J15. It's a solid choice. For honestly, for any modeler, I think that's a solid model that's coming out. I'm afraid to
Super
say,
pretty.
yeah, they do look pretty. So for 009, I'm afraid to say the only news I've got for you is Bachmann USA, not Bachmann Europe, have shown EPs of their Sir Hayden locomotive, which I know 3 certain YouTubers that are going to be very happy about. I believe George Williamson has recently done a Sir Hayden video talking about his previous attempts, and this current attempt that has now ended, I think, is now ending up on eBay as well. because he was specifically waiting for Bachmann to announce it. Well, a week after his video, they have. So there we go. I believe that's the only 009 news I have for you. I will try and be a bit more prompt on that moving forward. Yeah.
I think there's one other thing. As part of that range with Sir Hayden, I believe what I've seen is they've also announced some Tachlin coaches as well.
Oh, fantastic. So they're
I think I
not
saw
catering
pictures of those.
to Thomas fans.
Yeah, probably.
Sam Ollie, I've been collecting secondhand for the past year in anticipation of moving into a new house. Yeah, so I have always bought secondhand models myself, going slightly off topic, but you have to be very careful. My recent 2 experiences have been complete polar opposites of experience. Keep an eye out for the first video in 2 months that is coming next week for more. Yes, I've been doing something in the background other than setting this up.
Would you believe it? He's even done some track work.
I know, right? I haven't torn it up again.
It's just a little bit,
though. I promise you, I haven't.
It's a little bit. Yeah, it's like 1 point, right?
Yeah. It's a start. It's here. It's not moving anymore. It's right there. It's staying there now.
Basically, it's gold and he doesn't want to touch it.
I'm worried I'm going to break everything. And I don't know if there's anything new on the N-Gage front. So I know that that Dapol gave out some samples of the.
Hey, whoa!
Oh, sorry. Carry on, my friend.
Easy,
Dan, what's coming on with N-Gage?
Well, first of all, how's my audio sound, everyone?
Sounds good. At least on my end. Anyone having any issues?
I can hear him.
Okay.
Yeah, you're
right.
clear down.
So, yeah, on the N-Gage front, I'm going to go ahead and plug the engagenews.com website. He's got a physical website. No, Jesus. He's got a real website, and he's got a Facebook and an Instagram, at least. He might be on a few other social media platforms. That's typically where I get most of my N-Gage news. Just because there's not a lot of it, so it gets kind of lost in the shuffle, in the news cycle for all the other scales. So, most recently, and all these stories are a couple weeks old because we really haven't had much news in the N-Gage community. Grand Farish is re-releasing their 6400 pannier tank engines. I believe previously those locomotives were only available with a starter set called the Western Rambler or something to that effect. And then they also have some Class 47s that are supposed to be coming out in the near future. And as James started to say, Dapol does indeed have a mogul coming out, Great Western Mogul. Dapol also revealed samples of their new Manor class. I am looking forward to that. I have one of their old Manor classes, and it's beyond what I can do for it in terms of needing help. Notably, the new Manor class and the Mogul are supposed to feature the motor inside the body of the locomotive, as opposed to how Dapol's traditionally done things, with the motor being in the tender and driving the engine wheels with a drive shaft. So I'm personally excited to see Dapol finally move into the 21st century with the rest of the other manufacturers.
Absolutely, completely agree.
I'm just curious as to how well that'll actually play out, because some of their more recent releases, when it comes to steam engines, have not been great. So other than that, that's really not much unless we want to go back into January for Engage news, but I'm not really going to have a lot to contribute to these news segments. The Engage community kind of gets ignored. So.
Well, we're hoping to change that. I think that's one thing we have agreed on internally, is that we have nothing against Engage, and we want the community to know more about it. So, but I think it's some exciting releases, some nice modernizations coming up as well. So it should be really good for the Engage community, I think. So with that concludes our news. If there is anything else that you guys feel we have either missed or we've missed between now and the next session, please drop us a message in our Discord so we can get that information and provide that to you guys moving forward. So
that you can tell us, so that we can tell you again.
I mean, that's exactly how the news works, isn't it? That's exactly how it works. I'm not breaking the large prairie, I promise. So, yes, that concludes the news. So, another thing we wanted to do is provide slightly more regular updates on things that we're doing. As the guys have already mentioned on my layout project, I have made a turnout, and it is in place, and it is never going to move again. Until I decide to pull it up. But it's there, it moves, it does what a turnout does. And I have
excellent.
I have a king that now has a new motor that I'm going to fit and do tomorrow, and then hopefully I will have a sound fitted king, and that's me.
Amazing.
I've been doing this as well, by the way.
Yeah, and good job, James. You've done an amazing job setting up the stream and putting it all together. It's very, very cool.
Yes.
Thank you very much, James. I mean, it has been kind of... You and Hilt have been putting in the work this week to get this to where it is today, and, we're all appreciative of that.
No, I appreciate that, guys. Thank you. It's a group effort, really.
Rob, what you been up to?
We needed your foot in the door, mate.
This... I'm currently working on building my fourth steam locomotive, because I realised I haven't got any glue to build my diesel. I thought I'd just flip over to taking this chassis apart and trying to get it ready for the new body to go on it. This is going to be Oakingham, is it?
Oakenham
Works, number three, I think I'm going to call it. It's going to be a fictional steam engine on the works of Oakingham, obviously. And it's going to be for their narrow gauge network that went into preservation. So, yeah, that's currently what I'm working on. While I've got the Manning Wardle doing laps around the layout, going out, testing out all the new track. But yeah, on to you, Hill.
Nicely done, Robbo. Nicely done, bro. I've been really quiet lately. I haven't done like a video in like a month. I have been so busy. But when I've had some spare time, I've been working on that. And if I can turn this quickly, there's another one over there. So I've been doing a bit of landscaping. Yeah, just kind of consolidating stuff a little bit. I will be back on YouTube very soon, but it's so nice to jump in and chat to the community again just through this platform anyways. So yeah, that's me. Dan, what about you?
He's fallen asleep.
Put his mic on mute.
There we go. Not too much in the way of actual work with the trains. Last week, the wife and I kind of discussed some different lighting we could do in the train room. I'm not really happy with the current lighting setup. It's okay, for me when I'm working on the trains, but it really doesn't look the best on camera. So we're trying to brainstorm a way to increase the image quality when I do eventually make videos again. And then just earlier today, We had people out doing estimates to replace our fence. That may not seem train related, but before we can get started on the outdoor O gauge layout, we want to make sure the yard is, in a spot where we're comfortable investing more time and money back there. Obviously, I don't want any random person just walking into my yard and taking my O gauge stuff, So that's all I've got.
You heard it here first, guys. Engage USA is not going to be Engage USA for very long.
It's going to be no gauge.
All the gauges.
There's a joke in there somewhere.
We're finally going to get no gauge.
Hey, Dave's in the chat. Double O Dave, the man himself.
Hey.
What's up, Dave?
Hey, welcome.
Get some big names in here today.
Hey up, Davey.
Fantastic. So there you are. Small little update from us, and I think now we'll get to the main attraction of what we were actually going to be doing this for, and that's our topic for this week. Hilton, what is our topic for this week, my friend?
Oh crap! Why are you asking me?
I'm off guard then.
Okay, so I believe I did the thumbnail. So the topic this week we're discussing, and it's actually quite a broad topic, and this is I think quite cool because we can get pretty much everyone involved with this, because there are, I'm sure, many different opinions on this, and that the topic is what does every layout need? So I guess that sounds like quite a broad question, and it is specifically that, because we just wanted to make this a little bit easier, I guess, for ourselves and for you guys to chat about it. But that's the discussion this week.
I'd like to open things up with the smart-ass comment that's burning a hole in everyone's head.
No.
You should probably have tracks and some trains on a layout.
Well, it depends on what layout.
But the question is, do you put it on cork or do you not?
So
technically speaking, your layout does not have to have a train on it. You could have a model car layout.
Layout.
I mean, yeah.
I mean, would that then technically be called a diorama?
No. That if you take your little fingers and drive a car around your little layout, that's it. Yeah, it's your Hot Wheels layout.
Like the little
that's
carpets,
exactly what it is.
The little carpets you'd have when you were younger that had the little streets and stuff on it. Does that allow?
Have you seen the guy on Instagram who races Hot Wheels cars and puts them in a competition? And he has a layout for it. He has going down a mountain.
I have. Yeah. That's awesome. I love it. If I had the space, I'd do that. Absolutely do that.
So cool.
I've got a massive box of Hot Wheels that I collected over the years, and it's just sitting in storage because I'm now it's trains, so the Hot Wheels are taking a backseat. But one day I will do that, definitely.
There are people who have layouts for remote control vehicles as well. Like tanks and lorries and things. You get them at the modelling exhibitions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I saw a cafe. There was a cafe somewhere in the UK where you could go and drive diggers and stuff.
Yes.
So that's a layout.
So cool. We know where Hilton's going next time he comes over here.
That's actually a solid idea.
Go and drive a KTV.
Yeah. So yes, there are many definitions of layout. You can have many definitions of things, which is perfectly fine.
Okay, but we're talking about trains, right? Sorry, my bad. I had to be devil's advocate.
You carry on. So the crux of it is you need some track, and you need something to run on said track. But then the sky is the limit from there, really, isn't it? I think it's down to everybody's individual opinion, and I think that's exactly, as you say, why we thought this was the perfect topic for us to start this, because each of us have got our own ideas. I've got an end-to-end layout, which has got some turnouts, and that's it. It doesn't go anywhere but back and forth. Right now, it's not even going back and forth. It should be, but it's derailed itself because I haven't finished it yet. But we've each got our own opinions, You two have got sizable, roundy layouts. Hilton, yours is a dog bone, whereas Rob's, yours goes round and round, and Dan's, yours is a classic tabletop, So between the four of us, we've got completely different layouts.
This is new. This is new right here. I have now obtained another layout,
Oh,
but that is an end to end.
is this your
it's
official
massive,
announcement
right?
of it? Is it?
This is my official announcement that the Kiln Line version 2 is already in the works.
Oh, okay.
But Rob, doesn't it require a new house?
I was going to say, don't you need a new house for it? Like that's a
No,
very
because it's currently in
expensive.
storage with the Telford O-Gauge group.
Oh right, okay.
Uh,
So you've got rent a room.
Next project for the group. But yeah, to be honest, the first thing that you tend to put down on the model railway is the track, isn't it? If you just want to run trains to start with, to get the mojo going, you put the track down.
Exactly.
The danger is some of us get stuck at that stage.
Yeah, that's the problem, isn't it? But
Watching you.
where did you go from there, Hill? Especially on your first layout, did you go to ballasting or did you go on to scenics?
I don't know. I think I started ballasting. I mean, it took me a good while to actually just get a basic layout down because I've said it before. I know it almost sounds cliched now. I had no idea what I was doing. Like literally no idea.
He does.
But no, I think I ballasted, and that was a mistake actually because this time around I'm actually doing landscaping before I do the ballasting. As long as the landscaping doesn't get in the way of the ballasting, if you know what I mean. But that was a very classic layout, right? It was a big rectangular table with 2 massive loops on it. Good job, Rob. That's nice to see that running. Well done, mate.
Sorry.
And it became very apparent to me after about a year of messing around with it, just how boring it was. There was no playability, and I think that for me, that's what I like in a layout. I love to watch trains run. Right, like I'm happy to sit here, drink a whiskey, and watch trains run behind me all day. Like that's very cool. But there has to be a bit of playability because otherwise it can stagnate very quickly, and the urge to do something or run something can dwindle quite rapidly. So I like to have a continuous loop because I like things to keep going. And honestly speaking, within the YouTube space, running an end-to-end would be an absolute nightmare because you'd constantly have to be pausing the camera, starting it again, getting your trains to run back and forth. So for me, it's just easier to have a full loop and let trains rotate back on themselves, and then just make sure that I'm timing my shots correctly. So that was the reason for, although slightly different, this is technically a tail chaser.
Yeah, I get where you're coming from because, it's all right having the trains going round and round all the time, but it's also nice to have somewhere to shunt, especially if you're modelling like the steam era. Because I do apologise, that was a very loud car going past. 'Cause I think that's quite important, especially in the steam era, because modern days you get modern passenger trains and all that. They're uniform formed, aren't they? There's no shunting required. Whereas back in steam days, there was a lot of shunting, like carriage coach sets and all that. And I think when you go to plan your layout, you've got to kind of think about that, haven't you? You've got to think about what you're going to run on it for the most part. Otherwise it's round and round is just boring.
Yeah, it is.
Well,
I completely agree.
Ignore my filthy.
I mean, okay, so from a complete different perspective, James, you've got an end-to-end. What is your reasoning?
Mainly space.
he just got a track.
Mainly it's space.
Sure.
Also, I prefer shunting. I do understand, and I do get the craving occasionally to watch something run round and round. Of course we do. We want to see our models actually being used as models, and actually running around. Like, I bought a king. What am I going to do with the king on this layout other than watch it go back and forth and I listen to the sound, But that's exactly what I'm going to do. But I'm also going to shunt with it. I'm also going to do, other things. And that's why I sort of got this. Because to me, and I think a few other modelers feel the same way. He says, putting his mic back where it should be. Railways don't go round and round. They go to somewhere and from somewhere. And that's part of the story.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's got to be a destination somewhere, hasn't there?
But also my ultimate plan eventually when I am rich and have a much larger house, is to do a series of layouts depicting different sections of a branch line and a junction, so that end to end aspect is so stretched out that you get different elements of a story. You know, things being dropped off.
Yeah.
There will be a roundy aspect to the junction, because of course things have got to go one way to the other, back to a fiddle yard sort of thing.
No.
But that's my own headcanon about it. I did a very brief look on this on my channel a year or so ago. So if you want to go and understand a bit more of the history about why I'm doing this and what's going on behind my layout, go and check that out. I'll throw a link later on in the Discord as well. But I totally get roundies. I do totally get it. But
So I think
space.
Yeah, I totally understand, and I'd love to do that in a smaller sort of like a bite-sized like diorama type end-to-end layout. In fact, I've got kind of something planned for a more of a South African theme thing somewhere in the future. But I think with tail chasers, one of the most important things I realized very quickly on was that if a train is visible all the way around that loop, that illusion of space becomes very small suddenly, and you may as well have an end-to-end, because frankly, like, well, it's nice to run around in the loop. If you don't create the illusion, like model railways are all about illusion. Like it's all about creating depth, scale, and distance. Yeah. And like what I had on my initial one was I had a reverse loop, and on this one, I actually have 2 reverse loops, because I want to create the illusion that a train has traveled somewhere, because like you say, James, trains don't go around in circles, they go somewhere. So being able to implement like 2 reverse loops, I'm not blowing my own horn here when I'm talking about this. I'm just emphasizing the fact that creating the illusion of distance. Like if a train goes through the tunnel, I can stop it there and it can stay there for 30 minutes before it pops out again, and it feels like that train has gone somewhere. And I think that's
exactly
why it's actually critical. Yeah.
And I think that leans on to things that I think end-to-end layouts do well, and that's scenic breaks. For me, I think scenic breaks are key to layouts. Even if it's just ducking behind buildings or ducking behind trees or something like that, something that breaks the constant contact of seeing a train going round and round, just increases that immersion even more. You know. Okay, you have your roundies where your kids can sit there and look over it and think, oh yeah, and they can see it going round, which is perfectly fine for them. But I mean, at least for me, I like to see something disappear and then catch my eye elsewhere, or oh, that's gone, but this is now turned up over here, so I'm drawn over there, sort of thing. That's just me.
Absolutely.
Let's take some quick comments here. So we've got Fimbra. I'd absolutely get bored of an end-to-end. Completely understand that. Sam, Ollie, there's an idea I had of a runaround loop that stops short at the door, and if you want to run around, you open the door, add a small straight on the end. I mean, I think that would be feasible, but I'm not sure how tedious that might feel after a while. But I mean, give it a go.
Unless you really, really want some time away from your significant other.
Yes, just opening and shutting the door constantly.
If James thinks something is tedious, it's got to be pretty tedious.
I mean, yes.
Shots fired.
Shots definitely fired from the tedious track work. Yeah.
No. I'm not saying that as a negative thing. I mean, in terms of modeling, you want to be, more tedious, I think. But
yeah.
I don't want to be laser cutting my own ties.
I completely understand that, and I think that's also the other thing as well to say is model it how you want, your way. Don't let anybody else tell you.
Yeah, what makes you happy?
To do it, you know. Like for me, okay, it's taken me 2 years to get to having the first proper turnout down and not moving, probably. But the process, the journey, the learnings, getting back into the hobby, learning everything, meeting some great people, that's all been part of it. You know, and regardless of if I've got, oh look, it's moving again, and regardless if I have something moving, it's all worth it for me.
Yeah, and I think what's really cool, James, is that at the end of the day, you're actually going to be able to say that you literally built your own railway. Like, I went to the hobby shop and I bought Pico Track. James literally built his railway. I mean, that's pretty dope.
Sorry, I love it every time it moves. See, this is I don't mind end to end because to me I just get giddy at watching something move. You know.
No, and yeah, I agree. On the back of that comment by Finbra, I disagree with you. I don't think an end-to-end would get boring per se, as long as you make what's inside that end-to-end interesting, right? So if you had like a really busy freight yard, like I've got a good friend of mine who often helps me out with model railway stuff, and he's got N-gauge stuff, and it's all European, so lots of German steam and diesel, and he has a very expansive yard that's end-to-end, and it's super busy and super complicated, and just running it is like doing maths. So if that's something you could enjoy, if you take joy from that, I think it could be fun, right?
Yeah, no, completely get that. More
Everybody gets different things out of this hobby, don't they? So.
Yeah, exactly. Quick catch up on some comments. Morewood says, given the size of my layout, you'd think I'd go end to end, but I still went for loops. I mean, being N-gauge, your space is a bit smaller. I mean, I could probably get a decent sized dog bone in this gap. I mean, this is a 2.5 meter gap from wall to wall that I've got this in. I think I could get a decent dog bone in N-gauge if I wanted to.
Yeah.
Could probably only get an ingle nook in O gauge, but you know, no, you could get more.
James, you'd lose the will to live building your own N-gauge track.
I would. I contemplated 009, and then watched George Williamson, subsequently SBJ and James doing 009 stuff with FlexiTrack, and went, that's tedious enough for me.
Yeah.
Watch them doing it, yeah.
And then one last, Finbro could agree more. I had to add a back scene to hide Fiddle Yard as it looked daft, not going anywhere. And that's exactly the thing, is it breaks the illusion. It's all, you know, it all really good going round and round. But I think a good back scene, a good scenic break, especially for end-to-ends, are essential. And if you've got fiddle yards as well, I think it's pretty essential. Unless you're doing some grand scheme, exhibition style layout where the entire thing is scenic, and your yard that you're doing itself is the fiddle yard and it is scenic, which I think New Junction is doing. Then otherwise scenic breaks.
Yeah.
So, yeah, track is definitely worth it. It depends on how you want to do it as well. We'll go back to track. So, you know, you've got options, you've got ready to run. You can build it yourself. You know, you can get other people to build it for you, which is a big thing now. Actually, there's a few hand building companies in multiple scales, in Europe and across the pond. So you can get people to build your, like, I know Dan Everson at Tunnel Lane builds entire layouts for people. You know, so you can sit down and have a consultation with someone and design a layout. You know.
Yeah, I think that's actually, I mean, you know, there's no shame in that either. I think there's a lot of people who literally don't have the time.
Yeah.
Maybe they're just making so much money that they don't have the time to do that. But they want to play with trains in a cool scenic environment, and hell, I mean, it creates another job for somebody who does like building railways, and that's cool.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so we've covered track. What about elements?
Wait, hold on. One more comment. One more comment.
Carry on.
Sam said, Sam Ollie, sorry. I've also thought of zigzag sort of end to end, where it's constantly ascending until you reach one end and you can change points to another line that ascends even higher. Yeah, like an American sort of switchback.
I was going to say, I've seen some switchback layouts, yeah.
I love that. I absolutely love that. I think they look absolutely epic because they are like 4 meters tall and they just go up and up and up, and they look brilliant doing it. So yeah, I completely agree with that. That's a cool idea. I'd love to do something like that.
And I believe actually typical as well. I believe there were some switchback railroads in the US at some point. Correct me if I'm wrong, Dan.
Yeah.
They have a heritage railway in Australia that's based on the zigzag.
Oh,
as well.
Okay. So I know
It's a shame Upwell and Onwards isn't here because he would be at the tele. Yeah. It's called the Zigzag Railway, funnily enough.
Oh, don't do that. Don't do that. He's not an Aussie. You're playing with fire there, my
He's
friend.
a Kiwi. He's a Kiwi.
Close enough. He's closer than we are.
No, that's very insulting to Australians. I'll tell you that. Free.
Yeah, one last topic before we move on. SBJ, I feel having the best of both worlds would be satisfying. Having something that can constantly move, like a tail chaser or a shuttle style system, to have running on its own with with shunting or end to end, would really be a nice halfway. Yeah, I mean that's sort of what I'm going for here. With what I've got going on, the idea is that I would have a shuttle in the background, whether that's a tank with an auto coach or something like that, just going back and forth. The idea behind one scenic break, and I've got another one that will go in at the other side, while I just do my own thing in the yard. But I think on a large scale layout as well, that's kind of the thing I look for. When I'm thinking about what kind of layouts I like, is not so much of what's going on, but how much of what's going on. Am I being drawn away to multiple places at multiple times? So that's a very good consideration.
Yeah, and you can do a lot with a very little space in terms of scenic breaks as well. Like there's that. I'm sure you guys have seen him, Boomer Diorama.
Oh yeah.
But he manages really well to sort of break up his scenes into very small, sort of bite-sized moments, let's say, where, it'll transition between like a very small station into a swamp that is highly, highly detailed. And I think he's 0-30, but like each scene is so meticulous and the transitions between them so seamless that it looks absolutely perfect. But to Sam's point, like, I think I tried to do that with my initial layout, like have a runaround loop. I had 2 main lines, which a lot of people criticize me for because the West Highlands is a single line. And then I had like my yard in the middle. And what ended up happening was I just ran out of space and I had no space for scenics because it was just dominated by trucks. And that was quite frustrating. So with space as a premium, it's a bit more difficult, but like, I agree with you. Best of both worlds, ideally, right? If we all had the space,
yeah,
it'd be awesome.
I think
Now,
that's exactly.
Hilton, you've touched on something that's a larger issue for me, and that's I see it a lot in like the Facebook groups. Somebody will post a picture of their layout, whatever they've got going on, and immediately everyone wants to jump in and be like, well, this isn't right and you did this wrong. And some of those people making comments on stuff are genuinely trying to be helpful, and I think that's good. That's healthy for the community. But then there are some people that just do it, and it seems to be kind of more mean-spirited than anything else, and it's kind of counterproductive. And then you run into the whole problem of, am I doing this because it's something I like, or am I doing this for internet credibility, which is a much larger issue I see in other hobby communities. Not necessarily so much in the train community, but it is there.
Sure. Well, I think it's one of those things we're all I think fairly proud of what we've achieved and what we're doing. We spend so much time doing it and like effort and love and money, money especially, that we put into our layouts. And I think, it's such a difficult one, Dan. Like, this is not really an answer. I'm just taking your statement sort of further. I think we all seek some kind of validation as to, like, from a community that perhaps knows better than us. In most regards, they usually do, sure. Especially if we're beginners. We want some kind of validation, and it's very, very disheartening to be told that you're not doing it right. And the problem with social media or YouTube or Instagram, whatever, is that you can never get the tone right. You can never understand what tone somebody's using with you, and you never know whether that's a good thing or a bad thing or constructive or criticizing. And I suppose we just all, in this day and age, have to be a little bit more hard-skinned about it. But it's not easy. It's not nice. It's a tough thing for sure.
I liked your first layout, Hilton.
Thanks, Dan. Appreciate it, man. I hated it.
At least you're honest. Okay, let's.
Have you still got it?
Oh, I don't know. Does he?
No. It's very much in the bin. In the bin.
Okay, so let's move on to things like elements. What kind of elements do we like to see in layouts? Not just our own layouts, but things that layouts that we're seeing, things like that. For me, I love a good MPD. I love a good shed scene. And I think every layout should have something like that. I wish I could on mine, but I haven't got the space for it. Even for a tiny little one-engine shed, I don't have the space for it. But I do love a good shed scene. What about you guys?
I'm a sucker for turntables.
Oh,
go for it, then. We should have like an order to this, like we should have like always an answering order so that no one's like, are you want to? Okay. All right, Dan, go.
I'm a sucker for turntables. It's not something every layout needs necessarily, and I do think it's also very scale dependent. Like it's much easier for me in N-Gauge to have a turntable in a roundhouse than it would be for Rob in O-Gauge. I don't actually think I've seen the British O-Gauge layout with a turntable.
My favorite layout has a turntable in the shed, and it's O-Gauge.
Wow.
That's
a massive shed then.
It is huge. Let me find it.
I feel like if you had a point-to-point layout with a turntable on each end, I don't know. Do you feel like that's doing too much, or does it depend on the size of the layout?
I think it would depend on the size of the layout. I know there are people that have done 00 MPDs with turntables, and it's been successful. It's and they look fantastic. I think End of Southern Steam on Instagram is one of those. He's got a coal stage, like a very large coal stage with I believe he's got a turntable on that as well, and I believe it's an end-to-end layout. But please correct me if I'm wrong. But I think it definitely depends on the size of the layout. Hooterton Model Railway, thank you for joining us. You didn't tell me you were here, so I didn't shout you out earlier, but thank you. Shall we move on to Rob? Rob, what do you think? What sticks out in your mind?
When I started my O-Gauge, I had to have an MPD. So I agree with you, James. It was the first bit I concentrated on. But I say that, but I also needed to have an embankment somewhere where the train could literally hide behind. If I'm sat in the middle here, I've got several points in my layout where I can't see the train going round. It looks like it's just dipping in and out of the countryside as well. And that's something I'm a sucker for, is some decent, places where the train can just disappear completely and then just emerge out. Yeah. It's just something about it. I've never had that before.
Yeah, I recall a layout that was at Model Rail Scotland over the weekend, where the entire layout, the front of it was just trees, and to get a good visibility of the layout, you physically had to get down to the tree level and look through them to watch I think it was a narrow gauge line, and you had to physically watch them through the trees, and I think that immersion is great, and I think embankments do that as well, for sure. And Hilton, what about you? What do you need in one of your layouts? And if you haven't got it, I'll be disappointed.
Mountains, mountains, Gandalf, mountains. So for me, I mean, yes, mountains, but I obviously based on where I'm modeling, but I love like natural scenery, because so much of railways is that. I look at very busy city layouts and I can understand the appeal, but looking at like a metropolitan layout, it feels like a lot of work, and not the kind of work I would enjoy, like building buildings, or wires, and lots of different footpaths and walkways. And I hate to say it, but 9 times out of 10, everyone's roads look really bad. I just don't feel like they're convincing. So that sort of stuff I tend to avoid. I tend to avoid like very built up things. So I like lots of scenery. I like lots of trees. I like water. I'm not experienced in the sense that like I'm pulling all of this from the fact that I just watch YouTube videos of other people's layouts, and that's what I usually enjoy the most. But another thing I do think is really important is small details. Not the fact that, and this is what I'm juggling while I'm building this right now, is I don't want to over complicate it or over detail a section, in the sense that I need it to feel realistic. I need to have a realistic spacing between telephone poles or lamps, or I don't want to make a scene too busy or have too much going on where it feels cluttered. It has to feel natural. And honestly, super glad that I went to Scotland last year, just to kind of refresh my brain on exactly what it all looks like and just how vast it feels, because coming back I was able to be like, okay, this is how I want to sort of draw it out and make it feel now. But yeah, scenery, trees, and realistic and natural colors. I think often one of the things that I don't want to sound like I'm criticizing, one of the things I see is that colors are very, very vibrant. And while yes, there is a certain point of the year where everything is extremely vibrant, the reality is it looks unrealistically vibrant, to the point where it feels like exactly, that's what I'm going for. I'm going for bleak. But it feels like you're looking at the Teletubbies and not a realistic scene. And there are a couple layouts out there that are just stunning in terms of their coloring. And that's what I'd aim to go for every time. Most importantly, probably color.
Yeah, I think I agree with you on that one. I think convincing style is a must. I think everybody's got their own style, everybody's got their way of doing things, but doing it convincingly, just it looks so much different. And you mentioned, so you've actually mentioned my favorite, and I know I'm going to hurt some people here. My favorite YouTuber at the moment is Boomer Diorama. I'm learning so much stuff from his work.
Yeah,
his layout is a cut above the rest. That's where I learned, weathering for sleepers. That's the same methodology I was using, because I saw that and went, it's freaking brilliant, But I completely agree. I think that kind of styling and making sure that you've got realistic. I say realistic. It's not the right word to use, but believable scenery is essential. It doesn't all have to be completely perfect down to the leaf, but elements of it have to be.
Absolutely. And James, I agree with Boomer Diorama. What I particularly enjoy is the sheer amount of time he takes with each element. So, if he's doing like a section of track, and this is not a long section, we're talking like 10 centimeters of track, he'll spend like 2 to 3 hours on that little section, making sure that it works for his idea of it. And like the amount of time he takes to accurately detail, to make sure that brass blades are positioned, correctly, and just bring it like his track work is the best looking track work I've probably ever seen, just because he spends so much time with it.
Yeah,
it looks so natural. So I'm with you. Boomer Diorama has taught me a lot. And if you guys haven't heard of him or haven't checked him out, please do, because even though he's American, he's brilliant.
Yeah. Let's do some quick comments here. So Morwood and hang on, how far back have we missed? One for Hooterdom. One thing I like to see on layouts is working signals, especially semaphores. I completely agree with you there. I am trying to find somewhere on this layout to put one, because ordinarily on the branch line that it exists on, there wouldn't be one here, because there's still about 2 miles to the next station. But I think
what we're getting from James this evening is that space is at a premium for him.
Absolute premium. Absolute premium. There will be ground signals, which is fine, but I want a proper semaphore. So that I completely agree with.
You could probably just get away with a distance signal, to be fair.
That's probably going to be it, but it's where I put it. I have to figure out, Well, also, because actually you say... So I've got a turnout that actually comes off the main, and I can't remember what the terminology is, but it's a trailing point. It's not a facing point. So technically, I think I have to have a different kind of signal, but I still have to do some research on it. I don't think a distance covers it, because it's a trailing, not a facing.
This guy would build his own signals, Hookerton.
I will be building my own signal. Do not worry. I'm already eyeing up the brass kits for them.
He's a madman. Sucker for punishment, we like to call him.
I am a sucker for pain. Yes, that is my theme tune. Where are we now?
Imagine Dragons.
If people are criticizing what trains you're running or how you're running them, then if anything, they're just killing their own credibility. Yes, Rule 1 exists for a reason, and everybody should follow Rule 1 to the heart.
This is one thing. The club owner of the O Gauge group is worried about on this weekend, because it's our first exhibition and we kind of run what we want on it. He's actually been quite anxious about people actually coming up and starting having a go at us, saying, "Oh, that shouldn't go on there. That's not the right era," and things like that. And we've just told him just to ignore them. They're not worth the energy.
No, it's not worth the salt.
It's your layout.
Completely agree with you there. Sam, Ollie, the big thing I want on my layout is interaction potential. My earliest designs prioritize the amount of loco interactions over any real railway practice. See, I think that's a sensible thing to think about. You don't want, because not everywhere had so many locomotives around at one time. Sometimes there was just things that were static. Trains weren't going constantly. There might have been other activity going on, and then occasionally a train might go through. We've all been stood by a railway line and waited 15 minutes for a train. We've all done that sort of thing, and it's exactly the same thing. How I personally think the certain things should be monitored, should be displayed. Let's get a few more in Morwood. For me, definitely street or trackside lampposts. Feels like that alone adds fourth dimension to anyone's layout. I think lighting in general, it breaks the fourth dimension perfectly on a layout. I think that is definitely something that people should consider. For me as well, just going on because we're talking visual with lamps, for me, I think sound is important. And I believe George Williamson in his latest video confirmed something that is actually something that I was thinking of beforehand. And it doesn't matter if you have locomotive sound. Locomotive sound is great, but if you don't have ambient sound, just having some birds, or just having some water trickling if you've got a stream, or if you've got an arc welder scene, having that little bit of sound breaks the fourth wall and brings you into that scene. And I think that's
Backman do a unit for that, don't they?
A Gauge Master have several units that do that I do plan on getting for my layout,
because they got a signal box one as well, haven't they?
Yeah. So I think Richard at New Junction has got one in his signal box. Which
I just love the idea of like clunking levers just randomly.
And that's
awesome.
And that's exactly it. That slight ambience brings so much dimension to it. And I think that's very important to think of. Fimbra, I feel like I have to have a station. I have a decent amount of passenger stock, so kind of seems a must. I'm tempted, if I extend, to just do countryside run through. I mean, I think that's each to their own. This is that whole topic of whether to have a station or to have a yard or to have scenery is very Marmite. I think that's very very Marmite thing. Some people like to do station scenes. Some people like to, for me, I don't mind station scenes, but at the end they all start to feel samey. You've seen, I'm going to criticize Great Western here, and people are going to hate me for it, but you see one Great Western station, you've seen them all.
Absolutely. And the trains too. The locomotives, the rolling stock, all of it. It's all the same.
I knew that can of worms was coming.
See, for me, that's part of the appeal of Great Western, though. I appreciate uniformity.
But that's the thing, is I do appreciate uniformity, but for me it starts to feel the same looking at any station. I've seen one station, I've seen them all,
Well, then I hate to say it, James, you guys should all be modeling German. Honestly.
Yeah.
If you like uniformity, you should all be doing European Continental.
Listen, Hilton, I'm an American conservative who owns guns. I cannot be seen owning too much German stuff. I'm already a little over the line for too many people.
Oh, no, you're perfectly behind the line.
Look, Finber's in the chat. He's got my back. We got this. The GWR is boring as hell, guys. Sorry.
It's not.
I'm kidding. I love you all. You're great.
As
I have a pretty positive opinion of Finber on Engage.
I do.
Sam Molly has just said, it's not fair. The GWR has a whole bunch of unique station designs. It's just nobody has looked into any of them. I completely agree with you. There are some beautiful stations. Bristol is one of them. It is an absolutely beautiful station. But it's just my opinion. I'm not a station guy. I prefer seeing countryside. I prefer seeing, trees and embankments and streams and bridges, and that's what I like.
I'm sorry, but there's no ideal, no better station than a rural Great Western branch line station, such as Arley or Bewdley, any of those on the Severn Valley, which have been restored to the absolute perfection.
Yes, Yorkshire Railways, you can have it in any colour, provided it's GWR green. Yes.
Right, yes.
There are two ways of doing
exactly.
this. I'm not going to say it because somebody will tell me off. We're not going to do a MERP. Sorry, Sam.
Yes, the North do exist on this stream, by the way.
Morwood, I mean, I live beside the almighty terminus at Paddington, and that got an entire external makeover, looking way better now. Well, yeah. Hilt needs some LNER backup. Yes, he does. He is stuck between 3 rocks and hard places.
And I can tell you guys this for the last year and a half, this chat has been going on between the 4 of us, and it has been very difficult dealing with 3 GWR nerds. So I'm very glad to have a little bit of backup finally, because I don't care what you guys think. The GWR is my least favorite of the big 4. I'm sorry. I know you guys were tough. You know, you guys were amazing on the West Coast, and your Welshmen were just so hardcore that they didn't have to close up their cabs. And, you know, I know it was great. It was really the best of times, but I'm sorry. Take a look at an A3 or an A4.
Well,
anyways,
A3
let's move on. Sorry.
A3 would not exist without the Great Western.
Can I just say what? There isn't actually any difference between the A1 and A3, though, is there? That's like that. You know, an A4 is literally just an A3, just a smooth body, and the A. What is even an A2?
Gentlemen, I feel we're straying from the topic.
We were not supposed to do this yet. Right, come on. I want to see some more. I want to see some more opinions in the chat. What do you guys think needs to? What do you guys want on your layouts, future or otherwise? What do you guys like? What about Dan, Rob, Hill? Anything else from your guys that you'd like to have on your layouts that you haven't thought about already, or you haven't incorporated in your designs already? Rob, you first.
Being from a narrow gauge, going over to narrow gauge now, I'm playing with the thought about having an inclined plane, because I think that'd be cool.
Yeah, you know, I think a lot of people kind of avoid elevation changes on their layouts, and I think that's kind of a shame. I understand it can be difficult to make an elevation change look realistic, but I mean, come on, guys, I can do it. It can't be that hard. Don't be afraid to experiment around with elevation changes. I think that's an underrated aspect of model railroad.
Yeah, I agree with that, Dan.
A lot of layouts you'll see at exhibitions tend to be flat. So yeah, you are right there. It's one of those things that people don't tend to go with, especially like I know that in O gauge, elevation changes take up a lot of space. I mean, but yeah, it's definitely one of those things that people shouldn't shy away from, because it makes your layout a lot more interesting, and you can put your layout on different levels, and it just makes it doubles up your space sometimes as well.
Yeah,
yeah, sure. And eye-catching. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you can, depending on your scale, like you can do so much with elevation, right? Like I think O is particularly difficult, but like I agree with you, Dan. I think that elevation changes are, well, for me at least, it was imperative to have an elevation change because the West Highlands are not flat by any means. So having some kind of difference, yeah.
Well, we spoke about it in our group chat earlier about the cog railways.
Yeah,
that's a brilliant way to get elevation in your layout and add a bit of interest.
If you can find the stuff to do it, you know.
Yeah, it is quite rare. And come on, Backman, on the back of NG7, you can do it. Snowdon Mountain Railway.
I feel like that's very ambitious, considering they're just starting NG7, Rob.
Maybe in 10 years. Right, I'll settle for that. Yeah, that's it.
Go hard or go home. Just get it done. Nobody else is going to. Let's see. PN Motorsport. A water tower if modelling steam. Yeah, I think certain things like that are essential. Oh, we've got Dan with trains running. Fantastic. Look at that.
Brilliant. Past 37 front and center. Love to see that.
Primarily doing this to test the noise cancelling feature of my new microphone.
Carry on, mate. We love a good spectacle. So yeah, I think water towers, if modeling steam, I think that goes along with the MPD. You know, the having a shed scene sort of thing. Same with like coal staves, anything to do with the paraphernalia of what you're modeling. You know, it could be oil drums. You know, it could be an oil refueling station. It could be, you know, just a place to do a wash down. You know, things like that can be very interesting. Can be very scenic.
I like the idea of, and I wanted to do it on this layout, but this didn't really provide the space for it, unfortunately, as much as I tried to plan for it. We've talked about loco yards. I love the idea of a modern TMD. Inverness, I know I've spoken to you guys about it separately, but I'd love to do like a almost 2-scale Inverness TMD.
Oh, wow.
I love the idea of lots of diesels just sitting and, you know, like humming in the background. I also have a ridiculously large collection of 37s that seems to keep growing, and I need somewhere to put all of them. So I'd love to just have a spot where they can all refuel. There's that kit that Key Model World have just brought out. I think it is not DRS, GB Rail Freight, the maintenance shed.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks amazing. Absolutely amazing. I love the idea of modern traction maintenance. I think that's very cool. I've seen a couple where, you know, it even replaces the wheels automatically. They've got a little mechanism that is replacing wheels on locos, which I just don't even understand how that works, to be honest. But there's some really cool TMDs out there.
Yeah, I think the large scale layouts like that do. Sorry, hiccup. They do tickle me a little bit. You know, I love the amount of detail that people manage to pack into these things. You know, everywhere you look, there seems to be a character. There seems to be a thing that you want to watch and see what's going to happen around it, or, you know, why that's there. And I think that's another thing
absolutely.
for me. I think little details, the little things, you know, having a bin or one of those barrels that's got a light in it, you know, those little tiny details that most people overlook, I think is what gets it. You know, I plan on having pigeons. You know, I want to have painted pigeons on my warehouse.
It's great. It's great.
Because
Love
it's
it.
a tiny detail that you wouldn't think of, and just 1 or 2 pigeons can make a scene. You know, you've suddenly got the possibility of stories. You know, like it's. Yeah, I'm curious about those kinds of things.
Sam from Emperor's Park. We've got a few Sams here. He did the arc on his third rail, like the little light.
Yes.
Like that kind of thing.
Good.
That kind of thing just makes it fun. Like when you see something as small as that, or like even if somebody's like welding in like a you know in the background in a shed or something like that. There's some really
On Hellsfield TMD, we've got a guy welding inside a Hymech. You know, the Class 35s.
Wow, okay.
Oh, that's cool.
We've got a body that's stuck on sleepers that's got a guy welding in there.
I love that. And it lights up as well?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. I like that. That's very, very cool.
But yeah, for sure, the little details, you know, and I think for more for the owners than for spectators. I think that's where, at least where I get my, you know, that looks cool. I thought of that. That looks cool. You know, but again, that always comes down to rule 1.
Yeah.
Let's have a look. So SBJ, I love seeing a large station, but never want one myself. Is that because why is that? Elaborate on that.
Agree.
I agree. I agree. But why is that? I've got a friend that's building a scale-ish model of Coventry at the moment. And it's huge. It's currently, the platform lengths are about 13 57-foot Stanier coaches long, plus locomotive.
Whoa.
It's fucking huge. And I can't see it. I can't see him being done with it, honestly. I think it's going to take him forever to get it done. But I don't think I could ever do it myself.
So one element is the building.
Yeah.
right? For me, that would be like a nightmare. I just don't have. I don't think I have patience for that. The second would be the upkeep of a building like that. Like
Imagine
just
cleaning
in
it.
terms of dust, like the dust that would collect on it, unless it's very much like you can lift it off and clean around it and stuff. Just the sheer scale of cleaning something like that would be a nightmare.
Yeah, completely agree.
And and as Sam says now, space.
Yeah.
It's huge. You need a big room.
I think Waterloo is 14 plus platforms, and I've struggled to do 4. I think that's it. I know there's someone who's decided that they're going to do a scale model. There's a station. I think it was King's Cross. I can't remember which, but they want to do it in 2mm, and the station throat goes from like a 4-track main line into like 16 platforms and 4 lines that go down into the underground. And they've done the plan for it. And I just think, when is enough? You know, yeah. So I do feel that. I do feel that.
But like, I mean, each their own, right? Like if that is what really gets you about railways, if that's like the memory or whatever that really, I don't know, does it for you, cool, I guess.
Yeah.
It sounds like a veritable nightmare to me, but yeah.
Has anybody looked into Japanese model railways?
Not particularly.
I have just a little bit, and the very large station scenes tend to be popular with them. I just something I've observed. I don't know too much more than that, but I will say that there are some truly impressive Japanese train stations that are being modeled.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, I can believe that. And obviously, they do a lot of N, of course, given their sort of limitations on space. And the Shinkansens and stuff are long trains, so I suppose you'd need a big station.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, for sure. Okay, let's carry on. Working down. So, more. Somebody once suggested I suspend a blimp over the layout like it's flying over the thing. A bit of insane idea, though. Well, so you say that, but this goes back to our topic of elevation. Whether that's having your track work being above the layout, whether that's having tall buildings, whether that's having, large structures or something going over the top of it. I think that all provides immersion, and if you can do it right, it could probably look good. I hark back to what was that program? Model Railway Challenge. I can't remember what it was, but there was several. Yeah. There were several of those layouts where they had Spitfire going around or something like that. They had. I think the big one is Miniature Wonderland. They've got airports with planes flying around all over the place. They've got helicopters that are on wire strings going everywhere, so it is doable, and it can be done believable, and I think if you can do it, it can make.
They've got the Millennium Falcon.
They have a Millennium Falcon, yes they do.
Yeah.
So I think it comes back to the elevation element for sure. If you can do it,
but that's also yeah. Sorry, James, didn't mean to interrupt.
That was it. If you can do it and pull it off, then fantastic, all power to you. Yeah, and I think like an aircraft or a light aircraft, depending on the scale of your layout, I think 00HO, you'd probably look at a light aircraft or I don't know, a fighter jet or something like that, unless you wanted to go crazy and like have a Hercules doing the Muth Loop or something like that. It would be really, really cool. It creates that, again, like I mentioned right at the beginning, the illusion of depth and size and scale. So it's a nice thing to add. Yeah, no, I completely agree. Northeast Albert, yes, welcome. Thank you very much for joining us. Sorry, Dan, what were you saying?
Before we change topics again, while we're on the subject of things in the air, I have seen quite a few American modelers, especially those that tend to do the more Midwestern region of the U.S. I'm seeing increasingly that a lot of people are incorporating like clouds above their layouts, and a lot of the times these clouds have little LEDs in them to stimulate like a lightning happening. And with how rainy the UK is, to kind of tie back into what Hilton was talking about earlier with the more dreary colors, do you see the British model railway community eventually moving to have like more thunderstormy elements in their layouts, or just to give it more kind of like Hilton was saying, a more gloomy atmosphere? I wasn't really sure where I was going with that.
It's an interesting point, Dan, actually, because first of all, they don't have thunderstorms in the UK. That's something I've realized. They just don't happen.
Occasionally, they're not very good.
Occasionally, but like not very often, right? So that may be one thing, and I love that idea. I've seen it as well, and I think it looks really, really cool if done nicely. And I think that's, again, a very difficult thing to pull off, because you have to get the depth of the cloud right and the kind of distance of the cloud correct. Otherwise, it can look like just a bunch of cotton hanging above your layout, right? And I also find it very, very interesting that British modelers, and this is not an attack on any of you, I promise. But all of you, well, a lot of you seem to model on a very sunny day and a very green day. And while the UK is very green and lovely, the reality is, like, most of the time it's pretty grim. And it's interesting that people model, and it's not a criticism. Again, it's not a criticism. It's just that people model what they perceive to be ideal in many ways. Whether that's, at the back of their minds, it's not something that they're consciously thinking about. They just do it because that's what they like the most, and it's the best form of a memory or a perception of a time period or something like that. It's an interesting point, though.
Hot take.
When we can start modelling rain, then
Yes.
we can start thinking about modelling the UK in its reality,
There are ways to model rain, or at least having been rained. Oh, we have a subscriber. It popped up. I don't know who it is. Let me check the labs. Alex G Modeling, thank you very much for the subscribe, my friend. Very much appreciated. But I think the hot take I've got from this is people model summer because it's easier than doing winter or proper spring or proper autumn. I think, doing late spring, early summer is a case of, I think what a lot of people see is throw some green static grass down, make it bright, add some trees that have got lots of leaves on them, and go from there. That's a very hot take. Because I know it's not as simple.
No,
as
I think you're right.
But I think it's a valid point.
Sure.
For me,
Sure.
I want
agree.
to go autumn, and I want to go rainy autumn. I want to represent puddles. I want to do mud. I want to do like dark, dank, orangey colours. And it's going to take forever to even think about it. But yeah, I think that's a very good point. I think it's a very good point about the modelling of weather. There are certain ways that you can do that. I see people are starting to use their lighting effects to model certain times of the day, different changes in the day, things like that, as accompanying with like lamps and things like that, which I think is fantastic. And if you can incorporate clouds and things like that into that kind of day-night cycle, I think it could be absolutely brilliant. But again, you've got to get it right. You've got to do your research, you've got to do your testing, and you've got to get it right. Otherwise, it will look like you've just got some cotton wool hanging above your layout.
I just want to, James, I want to jump in here because I'm getting a lot of flack about what I was saying. I'm not saying that it's wrong that you model a sunny day or that it's super green or super lush. I totally understand that it rains a lot in England and the UK.
We have sunny weather.
I know. I totally get that. I know that it's super green and it's beautiful. Don't get me wrong. I would take the UK over South Africa any day of the week. I promise you that. I love that green and I love that it rains all the time. I think it's really, really cool. I'm just saying it's interesting that so many model railway layouts end up... I'm digging a hole, aren't I? Yes. It's so interesting that many layouts are so summery and green, but also like you say, James, I think it's a good point around what's available. For modelers, there's a lot of lush greens, and it's probably the easiest thing to model. I think autumn is particularly difficult. Finborough mentioned somebody modeling winter with snow. I know that snow is a nightmare to keep clean. Like you almost have to resurface it after a year or so because of the dust that builds up on top of snow. And it can look really, really mank after a while. So I get that summer is, it's the easiest to do. Autumn colors are hard. I tried it in my last one and I don't really want to go back to it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. I really do. Yeah, keep digging your hole there. There you go.
It wasn't that bad.
Let's quickly catch up. Northeast Albert. I think we've covered that. Everybody needs lights. Yorkshire. I've had some videos where people point out my Lego Star Wars gunship than the actual model. Well, I mean, it's a Star Wars gunship. You need to point it out. It's the law. One of the best layouts I saw it gets last year was a night, and in autumn was modelling Crew Depot, I believe. I'll have to look at that because I do like a good night scene.
Yeah.
Finborough, a guy at our club, has just done snowy winter layout. It looks great. I really thought about it, and I don't think I want to do that on my first layout back into the hobby. At some point, I want to do a snowy scene, but not yet. I'm nowhere near confident enough. And then SPJ, it's this big problem, especially with YouTube layouts, that being able to do sunny gives you a chance to use bright lighting. That's yeah.
I can see that.
I guess
definitely.
It just shows the locomotives off in a better light, doesn't it? Having a nice bright kind of surrounding to their dullish kind of paint schemes.
I don't know, Rob. I disagree with that. I think like a very moody layout, like very gloomy,
shows it off.
Actually, for me, that appeals with locomotives better because I feel like it just like a super green grassy scene takes away from whatever color the locomotive is. It takes away from it. I feel like muted colors really make locos pop. I think like darker scenes look better, in my opinion, but that's just me.
No, that's what I was thinking. I was saying because that might be why people model in like the summer is because all like the layouts that Hornby do for their exhibitions and things, they're all summery. So there must be a reason for them doing it.
Yeah.
Or they have to sell their Scaledale stuff. So.
Oh, true. Yeah, there is that.
That's all summer stuff, isn't it? I think
Brackman do a pretty good range of, the kind of grimmish, the grimy coloured kind of buildings and stuff. I mean, they've just released the NG7 engine shed and the coal stave and stuff in the slate kind of look, and that would look really nice weathered in like a dirty industrial environment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I tend to agree with you, Hilton. I think it's only in the best interest of the model to have the layout be realistic in the way that it's not overly bright. It's not, of course you've got to have it bright to be able to take, photos and show it off and everything like that, and that's, what we like. But then we have people that we send our stuff to like SPJ, where we want it to be grimy as heck, and we want it to be grimy as heck and look good and look realistic, so that it fits in with our layout that is not bright and colourful and sunny.
Yeah. Just a light dusting, Sam. Just a light dusting
with the airbrush.
just a light dusting with the airbrush.
You need that on a t-shirt. You need that on a t-shirt. Just a light dusting.
Absolutely. I totally wear that. I absolutely wear that. Just a light dusting, please. Like, thank you. I'm good. I've sent a 47 to Sam, and he received it today.
Ooh.
And we were kind of going through the motions of exactly what it's going to look like. But I am very excited. And if you haven't checked out Sam's content, please do. And I mean, you should know Sam by now. If you guys not heard of the
Model Rail Replacement podcast either. They now owe us for a shout out.
Okay, Sam Ollie, it was going to Rapido RailX that made me want to get into making a layout proper. Yeah, I believe going to these exhibitions and seeing things is definitely a massive inspiration. I think having them set up and having them accessible is one of the better ways to get people into the hobby, like yourself. Showing off the different varieties of layouts, different ways of doing things in multiple scales. And showing you the different things that you can have rather than need on a layout, I think is exactly what these kind of things do best.
Yeah.
Northeast Albert, bit off topic. Yeah, this is a bit off topic, but I will allow it because I think I already know what's coming. Do any of you have any predictions for tomorrow's Rapido announcement? Dan, any ideas? I know it's completely out of your scale, but random prediction.
You never know.
No, that's not true. Rapido occasionally do engage stuff.
Imagine if they throw a left field and do a Engage County.
Oh no! If they do an Engage County, I will cry. On stream next week, I will cry. It's got to be a Hawksworth County, hasn't it?
You heard it here first.
It's got to be a Hawksworth County, hasn't it? Right? They teased it 2-3 years ago in a very short clip. So I don't know. That's my option. I mean, if it's a 440, the Churchwood County, I would be a happy man. But it's got to be a Hawksworth, I think.
I don't have any genuine predictions, so I'll just throw out some wishful thinking.
Do it.
I would really like some Class 20s for Engage.
That would be cool.
I'm not aware of if anyone makes those yet or not. It's kind of a more recent want of mine, so I haven't researched and discussed the amount yet. But I have the Rapido Class 28 in Engage, and it worked most of the time, so that's promising. Next person, I guess.
Yeah, Rob, what are you going with?
I'm going to go on a whim and say it's going to be the county, isn't it? There's no other thing that it could possibly be, surely.
That with the picture that they threw out of the count,
Exactly.
I saw that. Okay, my wallet is dead. This 2025 has not been a good
Your
year for my
wallet was
wallet.
dead. It got revived. Now it's dead again.
Yeah, I'm screwed. Hornby killed it at the beginning of the year, and Rapido are about to put the nail in the coffin, I think.
That's quite fitting considering his account.
Oh, yeah. Jesus fuck. Yeah.
Just to give you guys a heads up, I'm going to have to shoot in a minute.
No, not a problem, mate. You carry on. I know you've got preparations to do for an exhibition this weekend. Are we going to get any footage of that? Are we?
Yes, I'm going to take my tripod and I'm probably going to do a live stream on my own channel for about an hour while I'm actually there.
Okay.
So that'll be something good to look forward to. But I've got to get Tom Rolt ready and all that kind of stuff because Tom Rolt's going to be on a war well during the exhibition, being shuttled up and down the layout every now and again.
Oh, cute. That's awesome.
Fantastic.
It's great considering it's narrow gauge. It sits really nicely on the war well, so that's what I'm doing.
Lovely.
But,
right, I think before we move over to accepting some questions and having just a generic discussion, are there any other things that we think need to be on every layout? I think we've covered a vast
whatever you want.
Lovely things. Rule 1 applies. Yes, it does, Dan. I think that's the key. I think that's the key point to take back from this. Rule 1 needs to be on every layout. And if it's not on your layout, you need to incorporate it.
Oh,
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
I don't know if anybody's watching my feed. I put that Rapido Class 28 down on one of my tracks, and it just stalled on camera.
No.
Whee!
Yay! All right.
Funny.
Harry says
Who am I gonna send the
HST.
rest of that?
A HST? Oh dear. If they do a HST, I will not be
No.
happy.
No, I think he was referring to what needs to be on a layout.
Oh, a HST.
I think.
Well, I was going to say,
Yeah.
Morwood's just come up with the thing. I was waiting until the end of the stream. I thought Aaron was going to mention it if he was here. Surprised someone hasn't said a Flying Scotsman. That is the last thing that needs to be on any layout. I'm looking at you.
Or Mallard. Mallard.
No. You can have a mallard. You can have a mallard. That's fine. A Flying Scotsman
Thomas the Tank
does
Engine.
not belong on every layout.
Blasphemy.
Yes, it does. Absolutely, it does.
Not.
Absolutely, it's been all over the country, all over the world. Everyone should have a Flying Scotsman.
What's even worse is I can't say that there won't be one on my layout. I can't say it.
And the Aussies should have one. The Americans should have one. I don't think the Germans or the Europeans need one. But everyone should have a Flying Scotsman.
Which Flying Scotsman?
Whatever they want. Doesn't matter. It's rule one, remember?
Wartime Black.
I do love Wartime.
Wartime Black is the only.
Yeah.
It is the only acceptable Flying Scotsman. There we go. We've killed it off with that. We've killed it off with that completely. Let's go back, and so I think we'll open up the floor to any questions or any additional comments anybody has, and we'll start slowly rolling this down. I think we've covered the topic rather nicely. We've been going for it's got to be an hour and 40 odd minutes now.
Harry says the 500-pound gold-plated one.
No, that thing is if that thing would sit in a cupboard and never get touched. Let's have a look here. So, Flying Scotsman, Spring Cottage Moray. How did I miss this? Are we not on Hilt's channel? No, this is the dedicated Shunting Yard channel. We were on my channel last week, but from now on, all of the live streams and any of the videos on demand that will be coming after the live stream will be here as well.
Like and subscribe.
Chalklington Station need a Caledonian brake van. I mean, they are the Caledonian brake van. Yeah, I could see that fitting in most places. Sam,
What? Seriously?
Yeah, why not? They're cool. They're cool. Why not? I've got a Ruston on a Great Western layout.
It's green. So,
True.
I'm going to shoot. I'll catch you guys later on, and I'll keep watching the stream anyway.
Rob, it's been a pleasure, mate. Have a good one.
Cheers, Robbo.
See you later.
See you later, guys.
Sam Ollie, I haven't built a kit in over 10 years, so this is going to be a painful learning experience. You learn by doing. Jump straight in, and don't take 2 years to do anything like I have. Moorgate. Turns out they got rid of the guy who made the Class 28 in N. I wonder why. Well, I mean, literally as you posted that, Dan stalled. So, Yeah, we've covered that. We've covered the Dutch can have City of no. COT is staying here. Well, staying.
No. I think you should send it across. It's fine. You can give it to the Dutch.
No, if you
They've got like a J72.
If you're gonna send it anywhere,
they got a
I'll have it
J72.
here.
They got a
Hilton,
couple
aren't you
of
Dutch?
08s. Me?
Yes, South African.
No, I'm not Dutch. I'm like, no, gross. Sorry, actually, that was so rude.
Yes, it was. Yes,
Dutch
it was.
people, gross. Ew, no.
Ew.
Getting some real Austin Powers vibes over there, Hilton.
Sorry, just posting a link to the Discord. If anyone wants to join it, there
Oh,
you go.
thank you.
Please, thank you very much. I was supposed to do it periodically. There will be a bot that will do it every so often in the future. Yes, Truro did go to the Netherlands in real life. Yes, I would love it here. It can come to Slovakia and it can sit on a siding near my house. I will be very happy with that. I'll look after it. The Poles can have a small part. Yes. Is Dan using a cattle prod? Dan, are you using a cattle prod?
No, that's a track cleaning stick. Hold on, I'll get it in front of the camera here.
We are now referring it
By,
to a cattle prod. Oh, it's a tiny
Track. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic.
This was my first solution to try to be able to clean the tracks in my tunnels. Unfortunately, this didn't quite work either. So remember, if you're going to incorporate a tunnel on your layout, you have to remember that you need to get in there every once in a while. That was a big mistake I made.
Yeah, no,
Totally agreed.
I completely agree. Let's carry on. What was that enormous barrel with a straw you just drank from? This is my Stitch tumbler. it contains many waters. Yeah, we've pretty much.
Do you like one of those Stanley girls now, James?
No, I don't know. I'm trying to drink more water recently, and if I just have a glass, a normal sized glass, I will never refill it. So
Fair. No, that's fair.
The idea was just get something massive, and eventually I'll drink all of it. And I love Stitch. Stitch is my favorite.
How has your health been improving since you've become a little more of a fitness-oriented kind of guy?
So
James?
much better, dude. So much better. Like I feel better. I'm getting more sleep. I'm waking up.
You're so hydrated as well.
And I'm stupidly hydrated, which was actually a large problem beforehand. So, Fimbra.
Good for prostate health.
Yes. Also, I really need to pee a lot. Fimbra. Weirdly, the track in my tunnel doesn't get dirty.
Teach us your secrets.
Yeah, please tell us your cleaning ways. Northeast Albert.
James, there was
there carry
Sorry.
on? No, carry on.
No, there was a question that you wanted to bank earlier. I think it was from Ollie.
Yes, there was. Thank you for reminding me. Let me scroll up. Yeah, here you are. What's everybody's favorite freaky utility vehicle that has no right to exist? Mine is the LNWR Cinema Coach. I mean, it's got to be the pub vans, hasn't it? It's got to be the SR pub vans. That I think Bachmann have just decided that they're going to bring out. I want them. It has no earthly business being on my layout, but it's a pub on the rails.
Yeah, that's the cool idea. I like that.
Like, I think that for me, yeah. I don't know what they're actually called. It's just a pub on wheels.
I think that. I don't think I have one, to be honest with you. I think everything's pretty normal. My problem is that I've been collecting more locos than rolling stock, so I can't even say that like I have anything weird other than like a snowplow, and that looks totally cool. So it's not weird at all. So no, I don't have any of them.
I think snowplow's a good one. You know, not many places, not many layouts will have snowplows, so I could get behind that. Dan, anything weird and interesting?
Henrietta.
Nothing comes to mind.
I mean, the wizard.
Oh yeah. So for those of you that don't know, I'm a little bit of a Thomas fan. Specifically, I enjoy the Railway series books. I was shocked when I received my Henrietta from Bachman, after it was on pre-order for almost 2 years. Henrietta has a face now. And I'm not exactly sure when that happened, but it was quite jarring for me to see that. I feel as though a part of my childhood has been taken away from me.
Is it the concern that Toby's been consistently face to face or
ass to face? Yeah. We've gone there. We've gone there.
Henrietta.
We have gone full circle.
Poor Henrietta. Oh.
Yeah, Snowplow is a good. Yeah, Spring Cottage. Snowplow is a good one. Love the cinema car though. For real life, is that such a thing? I haven't heard of it before today. So Sam, Ollie, if it is a thing, please let us know. Please, if you join the Discord if you like, and show us what they look like. I will be very curious to see what they look like. PN Dan, it was in the CGI series they added a face apparently. So there you go. That's why I never heard of it.
Lucky Henrietta.
Yes,
This is Spring Cottage.
Lucky Henrietta. Northeast Albert missile launcher wagon. I mean,
what
was that such a thing? I know I think the weird thing for me is the gun that Oxford did. That I think actually existed. Oh, missile launcher.
I think that's quite cool.
It exists. North Korea has one.
Well, we all know North Korea is the pinnacle of military technology.
And now our American correspondent, Dan.
It's something James and I have talked about before. I would really like to take one of those. It would probably have to be the 00 version. I'd really like to take a model railway gun and make it be able to fire like 22 blanks or something, so it can do something other than just take up a lot of space.
I think it would have to be O gauge.
You think?
To take a 22 LR, I think it would need to be O gauge. Honestly.
Well, it's not actually going to be firing anything, and blanks are quite lower pressure than standard ammunition, so I don't know. It's nothing I'll ever get to try, not unless I just have an insane amount of disposable income and a lot of free time, which I don't see either of those two things happening in the near future. So,
well, we'll see. Could be worse. It could be doable. I think it could be doable. Fimbra, thank you very much for joining, bud. We'll talk to you in the Discord.
Keep well, bro.
Yeah, I think the railguns seem to be quite popular. I want one in tan, not in that awful color that comes up.
There's a friend of mine is a big Markland guy, and he's got the Leopold, the German gun, in O gauge. Well, I guess. Oh, look, is that a what is that? Super Star Destroyer?
Super Star Destroyer.
Oh my god, watch out, guys! He's got a Leopold in O gauge.
Empire.
It is ridiculous. It's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. It probably costs a stupid amount of money, but it is beautiful. But a very static thing, I'm afraid.
Northeast Albert, the O gauge Bushbuster. Again. Yeah.
That's what it would be.
Yeah, I can imagine. I can't think of anything else. Rob's back. Games Workshop need to ready to run Imperial Guard military train. I mean, do they? I don't think so. Right, Aaron,
Can you imagine?
In O gauge, of course. Yes, of course. So Aaron of Upwell and Onwards fame has finally joined. And of course he's coming in. Demon of a question. What livery do you really dislike on a loco you like? We're going to open that to the chat as well. We'll round this off because I think we've got 5 minutes left to the 2-hour mark. So I think we'll keep this as our last big question of the night. What livery do you like least on a loco you like?
I dislike the BR livery, any BR livery on any locomotive that did not originally have it. For personal reasons that I'm not
I'm
going
inclined to
into.
agree with that
Yeah.
in many ways.
Yeah.
I kind of agree with that. Yeah. Yeah.
I think for me, it's Cali locomotives that aren't in blue.
Yeah, I'd agree with that too.
Honestly, I think
Yeah.
for me it's because I think they just look the best in blue. I couldn't imagine any other regional locomotive in that color. It just wouldn't suit.
Yeah.
And then they changed when they were amalgamated into LMS and they went to red and then subsequently black. It just didn't have the same pizzazz.
Yeah.
And I think
I'd agree with that.
I think the 1, 2, 3 coming is a prime example of that.
Mm. Yeah, the Jones goods as well look quite odd in black. I mean, it looks good,
Yeah.
but it doesn't look
Yeah.
right. I agree. Okay, for me, this is a bit of a weird one because it's not technically real. I don't like what if liveries. I don't like
Agreed.
it when and I'm sorry, Dan, but the Americans, particularly Lionel, seems to be very guilty of this. But
Listen, I don't associate with them, so you're not going to hurt my feelings at all.
no, okay, that's fair enough. Fair enough. So for me, it would be like, for example, the GT3 comes in a BR green. The leader comes in a what if BR blue. Actually, now that I think about it, I feel like KR models are responsible for all of this.
Yes.
But yeah, what if liveries don't do it for me at all? It just feels wrong. I would never purchase something like that willingly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't seem right. And actually, that being said, the British manufacturers are a lot better at sticking to historically accurate liveries than the US market is. So, props to them for that.
I think that's more so a problem with Lionel than anything else. And unfortunately, whether I like it or not, it is kind of the definitive American train brand. Maybe someday Rob and I can, if it's ever just the two of us, we can have a Lionel bash session.
Yeah.
Really, really not a fan. Which is a whole other story. So.
Yeah, Northeast Albert agrees with me there. Lionel cannot be called a model company at this point. It's a toy company. Completely agree at this point. SBJ, don't you dare bring hate on a 37 in NSE. I'm going to throw a curveball here. I like the NSE livery on almost everything.
I do too.
Almost
I agree.
everything. And I'm an SWT guy, I grew up around Southwest more than Network Southeast, and they're not the same, but visually, the color schemes are the almost they're quite similar. I know they're not the same, and I know they're not quite similar, but they're quite fairly close. So I do have a soft spot for Network Southeast. So you're safe. You're safe here, my friend.
No, Sam. I think you're. Sorry, James.
Carry on.
Like, I love that livery. That is, if I could have that. In fact, Sam, we'll talk because I think I might want to get one of those from you.
Do it.
Thank you.
Sam Ollie, I dislike BR Steam Loco dark blue on anything that's not LNER. I mean, yeah, I can agree with that. I think Ellen. I think the only
Yeah, like
blue
I mean,
before-
kings in blue.
I don't hate them.
We're talking about like express blue,
Yeah,
right?
we're talking about Express Blue. I don't hate the king in blue.
Yeah, it's better than green.
It oh. It's wait.
It is. It is. It is.
Counter argument. It's better than BR green.
They're like the same. They're the same.
The A1 is the same as an A3.
No, it's not. They're very different.
The hex code is different, mate. Aaron, I'm kicking myself missing out 95% of the stream. We did tell you when we were live. I told you expressly yesterday. Kilnline, Rob, any loco looks good in either Network Southeast or Intercity Swallow livery. I don't know. What's the Badger? I'm gonna really kill people off now. I can't remember what the actual class is, but it's called the Badger. And I think one of the manufacturers is doing it at the moment. And I don't know if I like it in Intercity Swallow. I think it's in Intercity Swallow. It just doesn't look right. I don't know.
No, it looks cool.
I don't know.
No, it looks amazing in GNER.
Yes.
Like amazing
Yes.
in GN.
And that's why I think I don't like it.
But
That's why
the
I think
Swallow's good. Swallow's good.
Churro in BR Black was great. Honestly, now that I've seen there's someone on Instagram who a while back did a repaint of the Backman City of Churro, and honestly, it looks good. I think it really does look good in black. But then I like wartime black locomotives, so. Hot take, I prefer Great Western locomotives in BR. Don't turn into lorry, please, SBJ, please do not. Yeah, I saw that, Hilt, thank you very much. The 1501, the 15XX class looks good in BR Black because that's what it was built in.
James, the moment you say XX, my brain just goes. Cheers. I'm out. You GWR guys, you were bloody numbers.
Well, at least
you know why he doesn't like GWR?
Because he can't do math.
It's because we haven't gotten him a 2800 yet.
This is true.
If Hilton had a 2800, he'd be a GWR true believer.
The problem is we got him to get a Night Owl before a 28. I think that was.
I think Hilton intentionally set himself up for failure so that he wouldn't like the locomotive.
Yes.
That's my conspiracy theory.
Dan is cottoning on. Dan actually might be onto something. Yeah,
that sounds good. Well, I get to deal with that pain at some point soon, so yeah, we'll see how that goes.
Have fun.
Yorkshire Railways, yes, Akira Scale Class 89, that's it, the Badger. All locos look good in wartime black. I mean, I think of course they do.
I don't know if this would necessarily fall under the classification of fantasy liveries, but right now in real life there are quite a few American heritage units, they're calling it, and it's basically a couple of companies are painting, individual locomotives in old liveries of, bygone railroads. And to me, it just feels kind of distasteful, honestly. It feels like they're parading around the corpses of their defeated enemies, almost. It kind of rubs me the wrong way for some reason. I know a lot of guys go crazy over seeing a heritage unit, but they don't really do anything for me other than remind me of all the railroads we've lost since it's, payday here.
Yeah, no, I get that.
Do you see much of that stuff in the UK? Like I don't know. I guess heritage railways are a thing, but like,
I mean, I'm not sure.
is anybody?
I mean, I remember 1369 was painted a bright green at one point, and that triggered me. And I think the one that really icks me, and I think some people might not like this, is when they painted Tor Valley purple.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I wanted to buy one of those locomotives and waste my money just to throw it against the wall.
Thing is, if they had done it in a different purple, I would have liked it. I think if they had done it in a darker purple, but the purple they chose was like a toy, like a toy purple.
Yes,
it looked really bad, really bad.
I mean, we almost ended up with a red one. I mean, we did have a red one at one point. And then they painted it back again because they realised it was too big. 1369 was painted in modern livery with yellow buffer beans. Yes, and it looked horrid, and if they do that again, I will protest. Do not do that to my babies. I think red. I'm going to go with red on Great Western locomotives. There's only one.
Whoa.
There's only one, and what's worse is I really want the model because it's so unique, but I don't like the red on it. I just think it looks weird. Yes, don't pull it up for me, Hilton. I'm already jealous you have it.
Is it this one?
Well, hang on.
Oh, you mean this one?
Hang on, wait. Is that Alton Hall or is it the Hogwarts Castle?
I don't know. It's a Great Western locomotive. You tell me, man.
Mine is
they all
Alton
look
Hall.
the same.
They do not. Does it say Hogwarts Castle on it?
Yes, of course it does.
So it's the wrong one. The hall that thinks it's a castle. Well, we'll get two last ones in. The Purple West Country. Yeah, I think we've gone into that enough. Evening Star, BR Green, and the BR Blue one. Yeah, I don't think that should be BR Blue. That doesn't sound right.
Oh, I like the 66s in those old colors. I mean, I like the green. I think Evening Star looks really cool.
It's the one I want.
I love it, and I know you do. Yeah, I know you do.
I love
it. The blue, is maybe not as great. Maybe looks a little bit out of place. But if BR had kept going for 5 more years, we would have had blue 66s, I guess.
Yeah. SVR painting class 50 in Intercity Swallow. Ooh, okay.
I've not seen that.
You have to show us, my friend. LT Maroon on G.
That could be cool, though.
Yes, it could. It could be. LT Maroon on Great Western locos are sweet. Yes, but hear me out. It looks good because the London Transport writing and the yellow stripes make it. I think that's what makes it. I think just having it bold red is just SBJ says incoming. Do I have to?
Albert, hang on, James. I know you've missed this one on purpose because I know you. Yes, you have. Northeast Albert says, "Can we talk about the LNER next week?" I feel like we should.
I think
we absolutely should.
I think we definitely can. And in fact, Hilton, you could run that one, and we will let you out to play for a bit.
Cool. I look forward to it.
We'll do the last comment. Unfortunately, some of us have to work tomorrow. I'm sure some of you do as well. Sam Ollie, I'm super keen on the Bagnalls in S&D Prussian Blue from 1929 to 1934. I am really disappointed with Rapido because they have really missed a chance to do yellow ones. They really have. They do look great. The Port of Par twins, they do look fantastic. So they definitely will be a
Agreed.
up at some point here. But yes, so next week, there you go. We'll talk about the LNER. We'll do a bit more restructuring, and we'll do a more formal announcement of it. Oh wow! Okay, that does look nice.
This is like terrible. It's probably the worst. Like we're on a stream, we use technology, and I'm showing you my phone.
Yeah.
But Sam just sent me that, and it looks. I mean, it looks.
It
Okay,
looks nice.
I don't know. We'll put it in the Discord. We'll put it in the Discord. It looks really good. Yeah.
So there we have it. A multiple hour spanning topic discussion of what needs to be on a layout, and then a lot of bullshittery after it. I want to...
Okay, so sum it up, James. What needs to be on a layout?
Track
Yes.
and trains.
Okay.
The three things that
Cool.
need to be on every layout: track, trains, and rule 1.
This is very constructive. I hope you guys all enjoyed it.
It's been a great 2 hours. I want to thank PN Motorsport Trains specifically for encouraging
Absolutely.
the stream and pushing forwards the likes and putting the notifications on and subscribing. Really appreciate it, my friend. Thank you very much. And yeah, I think that's a great way to finish it off. If you have liked this stream, please give it a like. Drop a sub for the following content. Go and hit up our channels as well: Little Western Model Railway, Proper Chuffed, Engage USA, and the Kiln Line. Links to which will be in the description of this video once it's live, and again available on the Discord, which will also be linked. So that's thank you from me, gents. Awkward silence.
See, this is why we need to have an
We
order.
need to have an order.
Because it has to go in a rotation.
Well,
you know what I'm
guys have
saying?
Swapped. You
Yeah,
guys have swapped.
absolutely. From me, I know, but like we need to make it needs to be like, I don't know, do it alphabetically or oldest to youngest. I don't know.
That's more math.
But thank you guys. Really appreciate you guys joining us. It's a hell of a lot of fun doing this every Thursday now. I think we have a good time with all of you, and really do appreciate it. Yeah, keep your engines fired and stay on track.
He said
All
the
the best.
thing. Dan, anything closing from you?
No, I just wanted to give a big thank you to you and Hilton for doing a lot of the legwork on this. I'm not an overly competent person when it comes to technology, so if it weren't for you two, I wouldn't be able to be here and contribute my opinions. And then I also wanted to say thank you to all the people that have patiently been waiting for me to start uploading YouTube videos again. I do promise they're coming. Just working out some final little details here. So that's all I've got, guys.
Yeah, no, we're
Awesome.
looking forward to it. We're looking forward to it, Tim. So, last one from me. Thank you very much, everybody. I'm going to try and find the button now, and we'll talk to you all in the next one.